Season 2 of Culinary Class Wars is not something I can neatly summarize as good or bad, because the more I think about it, the more I realize that its impact came from contradiction, from moments where the format frustrated me deeply, while the people within it moved me in ways I did not expect. I went into this season expecting tension, competition, and high-stakes cooking, but what I did not expect was to come out of it thinking so much about exhaustion, identity, and what it means to keep working quietly, even when you are tired of carrying a role you never chose for yourself. This season also quietly moved away from the black spoon versus white spoon rivalry that defined the earlier narrative and leaned far more into human stories, mentorship, and shared exhaustion, which made the competition feel less about hierarchy and more about people simply trying to endure and do their best. That is why I want to talk about what genuinely did not sit right with me first. Eliminating an entire group of chefs in one round felt like an extreme and unnecessary decision, especially for a show that repeatedly claims to honor hard work and persistence. Because cooking is not a discipline that can be fairly judged in isolation, and compressing years of training, struggle, and lived experience into a single collective elimination felt less like competition and more like a narrative shortcut. This choice became even more disappointing because the season otherwise tried so hard to frame itself as respectful and humane, which made moments like this feel emotionally inconsistent with its own message. Alongside this, the editing mistakes this season were difficult to ignore, particularly the way the show unintentionally signaled that Lee Ha-sung, better known on the show as the Culinary Monster, would advance to the next round against Song Jong-won long before the results were officially revealed, quietly breaking the illusion of suspense and making the outcome feel decided rather than discovered. And when it comes to Song Jong-won, one of the quieter yet incredibly consistent chefs this season, my feelings are still complicated because I truly believe he deserved better treatment. Not in the sense that he was robbed of a win, but in the way his journey was framed, as his discipline, restraint, and steady confidence reflected the very values this season claimed to celebrate. Yet his presence often felt under-narrated and overshadowed by editorial choices rather than his actual cooking. Despite all of this frustration, the final episode, especially the last few minutes, completely shifted my emotional state. When Choi Kang-rok, the chef the public has known for years as the Braised Man, was announced as the winner, I genuinely flew out of my chair, not because I was shocked by the result, but because what followed was not a performance or a victory speech, but a deeply human release that felt awkward, funny, honest, and overwhelmingly emotional all at once. What makes Kang-rok so inspiring to me is not just what he said in that moment, but the way he has put his work together over the years, accepting the label of the Braised Man not out of pride, but survival, carrying that identity without bitterness, and continuing to show up with humility even when that label slowly became a burden he had to live up to every single day. His attitude toward other contestants, his refusal to frame himself as superior even after winning, and his ability to speak openly about exhaustion without turning it into self-pity, revealed a character that felt rare in competitive television, making his win feel less like a single achievement and more like long-overdue recognition for years of invisible labor. That same sense of humility was also reflected in Hou Deok-juk, a senior chef in his 70s who has been cooking for more than 50 years, and yet carried himself with a gentleness and openness that felt deeply inspiring, especially in the way he supported younger chefs without ego or authority. Watching someone with that much experience continue to learn, encourage, and show kindness reminded me that true mastery is not about dominance, but about how you treat people when you have nothing left to prove. I also want to acknowledge something personal in a careful way. I was genuinely glad that this season remained Korean-focused, not because inclusion is unimportant or because other nationalities do not belong, but because this show depends heavily on language nuance, cultural rhythm, and shared emotional context, and as someone who understands Korean and connects deeply with it, that consistency allowed moments of vulnerability, mentorship, and quiet humor to land more naturally without emotional dilution. At the same time, my happiness for the Braised Man does not erase the lingering discomfort I feel about Song Jong-won's exit, because it is possible to celebrate one person's well-earned success while still grieving the way another person's journey ended. And that emotional conflict is exactly what made this season feel honest, rather than overly polished or manufactured. In the end, Culinary Class Wars Season 2 is a flawed season with a sincere heart, one that stumbled in its structure but succeeded in reminding viewers that behind every plate is a human being carrying years of expectation, exhaustion, and quiet resilience. And that sometimes the most meaningful victory is not proving your worth again, but finally allowing yourself to believe that you have already done enough.